Bloodstains don't fade overnight. They whisper in the dark, cling to the air like ghosts that refuse to rest. The camera moves through a cold, empty street, slick with rain, lights flickering weakly against the night. A heartbeat echoes, slow, heavy, uncertain. There's no one here, yet the silence feels watched. A photo lies face down on the wet ground, corners burned, edges curling. A name faintly written in red ink, Henry. The sound of thunder breaks through, and for a split second, a shadow crosses the frame, gone before the mind can shape it into a person. Something happened here. Something no one wants to talk about. The story begins not with a scream, but with a silence so deep it eats the noise around it. The small town of Coldwell hasn't slept since that night. Every window holds a question, every heart beats with a quiet fear. The police said he ran away, the neighbors said he snapped, but those who knew Henry know one thing for sure: he loved too fiercely to disappear without a word. His mother still lights a candle by the window, hoping he'll see it. His brother walks the same road every night, searching for footprints washed away by rain. His best friend stopped talking altogether, as if words themselves betrayed him. Rumors grew like weeds. Some said they saw Henry by the old train tracks, eyes hollow, clothes torn. Others swore they heard his voice, whispering through the radio static, calling someone's name. Then there were the stories about the woods, the ones that no one laughs about anymore. The place where light dies before reaching the ground, where something moves when the wind doesn't. People pretend not to believe, but when night falls, they lock their doors faster than they used to. It's not Henry they're afraid of. It's what took him. A small piece of paper was found near the river, his handwriting, shaky and smudged. Only 3 words were clear. I remember everything. That's when the whispers started again, about the blood on the bridge, about the phone that kept ringing long after it was broken, about the figure caught on a camera that wasn't supposed to be there. In the dark, memory turns to echo, and echo turns to warning. Henry's story didn't end, it slipped into the shadows and waited. The town may have buried the truth, but the truth never dies. Not when it's written in blood. Now, the rain falls heavier, and the night feels colder. Every corner, every sound, carries a question. Where did Henry go? They thought the nightmare ended when the police sealed the old house and drove away. But nightmares don't end when the lights come back on. They linger in the walls, in the mirrors, in the people who saw too much and said too little. Henry was gone, but his absence filled every corner like smoke after a fire. Before he vanished, Henry wasn't just a name whispered in panic. He was laughter on Sunday mornings, the boy who fixed everyone's broken things. He was the one who believed in family more than himself. But something changed in him after the fire at the docks, the night he came home covered in ash. Eyes wide like he'd seen something he wasn't meant to. He never spoke of it, only said, "Some debts don't stay buried." That's when the calls started. Unlisted numbers. Voices that weren't quite right. Sometimes, they said his name. Sometimes, they just breathed. Then came the night of the storm. The power went out across town. His mother said she saw his bedroom light flicker even though the electricity was gone. His brother swore he heard the back door open, footsteps across the floor. By the time the sun rose, Henry was gone. All that was left was his phone cracked, wet, and still recording. The video showed nothing but static, until the final second. A whisper, one word, run. That's where the first season ended, with questions that felt heavier than answers. Who was he running from? Why was there blood on the bridge? That no one claimed. And what was that strange symbol carved into the old oak tree near the water? The police said it was vandalism, but Henry's notebook told another story. Drawings of eyes, circles, and words that repeated over and over. The blood remembers. Those who tried to forget found the town wouldn't let them. The streetlights began to flicker at the same hour Henry disappeared. Dogs barked at empty spaces. Doors slammed without wind. People dreamed of rivers turning red. And yet, everyone pretended to move on, like pretending could erase the truth. But every secret leaves a shadow, and Coldwell was drowning in them. Then came the recordings. A week after the season ended, someone uploaded files online. Unmarked, anonymous, but clearly from inside the old police archive. One of them had a sound faint, but clear if you listened closely. A heartbeat. Too slow to be human. Another file contained an image of the woods. The same tree from Henry's notebook, now split down the middle, as if struck by lightning. But no storm had passed. No one knew who uploaded them. No one claimed the files. Fans called it closure. The town called it a curse. But now, a year later, the silence has cracked again. The same streetlight that went out the night Henry vanished just blinked back to life. A single light burning through the fog. As if the town itself was waking up. As if something or someone had returned. People feel it in their bones, the same way you feel a storm before it hits. A tension that hums in the air, quiet but impossible to ignore. The kind that makes you check your locks twice. The kind that whispers, "You didn't bury this deep enough." This is where the story picks up again. The line between truth and haunting grows thinner, and Coldwell prepares for another night it won't survive untouched. Because when the past refuses to die, it finds its way back in every echo, every drop of blood, every whispered name. Henry's story isn't over. It's just begun to remember itself. The town says his name less now. Like saying it might bring him back. But the silence that follows feels heavier than before, like the air itself is listening. Coldwell has changed. The streets look the same. The houses still stand, but everything feels hollow, as if the town is holding its breath. Every window hides eyes that don't dare to look too long. Every night sounds a little less alive. It started again when the leaves began to fall. Small things at first. A light in Henry's old room flickering on for a second. A phone ringing in an empty house. A voice on the other end that said nothing. Then the river, the same river they searched last year, turned dark one morning, almost black. No one wanted to touch the water. No one spoke of it, but everyone knew it meant something. Coldwell has always been quiet, but this silence is different. It's expectant. Like something beneath the surface is waiting to be found. People began to see shapes where there shouldn't be any. A shadow by the water tower. Footprints leading into the forest and stopping halfway. Cameras catching faces that vanish when you look twice. It's easy to say it's tricks of the mind, easier to believe the dark is just the dark. But those who saw it up close said the same thing. It looked like him. Henry's height. Henry's walk. But his eyes, they weren't his anymore. Somebody started posting coordinates online. Random places around town, the bridge, the school, the old church. No explanation, no name. Just a caption. Do you remember? Where he fell. When people went to those spots, they found something waiting, a piece of paper. Burned at the edges, always the same 3 words. I remember you. The police call it a cruel prank. The locals call it Henry's revenge. But there's one person who doesn't believe either, his brother, Luke. He's the only one who hasn't stopped searching. He walks the river path every night, flashlight, trembling in his hand, whispering his brother's name into the dark. Last week, he found a new message scratched into the wooden railing near the water. Stop looking, but he won't, he can't. Because last night, he heard something that made him drop the flashlight. A voice behind him, soft, tired, and familiar. It said, "You found me too soon." When he turned, no one was there. The investigation reopened quietly. No press, no reports, just quiet movement after dark. Unmarked cars parked near the woods. Drones flying low without lights. Files pass between hands that never meet the sun. Someone knows something, and someone wants it buried again. Because Henry's case isn't just a disappearance, it's the thread that could unravel everything beneath Coldwell. Every secret the town built its peace on is starting to bleed through the cracks. The blood on the bridge was only the beginning. There are stories about others, names erased, families relocated, memories rewritten. And somehow, all of it circles back to one name that shouldn't have survived the first investigation. Henry Cole. But if Henry is truly gone, who's leaving the notes? Who's walking the forest paths at night? And who keeps whispering his name through the static of the old town radio? The world wants answers. The town wants silence. But the truth is coming back, and it's wearing Henry's face. Every mystery leaves a trail, and this one drips red. Somewhere in that trail lies the question no one dares to ask out loud. If Henry didn't die, what came back instead? A new chill has settled over Coldwell, the kind that doesn't come from the wind, but from eyes that feel watched. The town looks the same, but the faces have changed. Strangers have moved in, quiet, careful people who ask too many questions and smile too little. They say they're here to study the case. Journalists maybe, or detectives, but their stories don't match. One says he's from the city, another says she's never been this far north. Yet they all show up at the same time, in the same places, where Henry's name once echoed. The first to arrive was Evelyn Ward. A woman with tired eyes and a voice that sounds like she's always on the edge of remembering something painful. She claims to be a crime writer researching disappearances, but people whisper that she knows too much. She visits Henry's house every evening, stands at the gate, and just stares. One night, someone saw her whispering to the air. It should have been me. Then there's Detective Mason Core, the officer who was fired after the first investigation collapsed. He's back, unofficially. He doesn't wear his badge anymore, but his car is always parked near the forest. He's been seen digging near the bridge, the same one where Henry's blood was found. Locals say he's lost it, talking about patterns in the blood. About how the town isn't cursed, it's infected. The third is a young boy, no one knows his name, or where he came from. He showed up at the church one morning, barefoot, soaked, and carrying a torn photo of Henry. When they asked who gave it to him, he said, he did. The boy hasn't spoken since. He just draws the same thing over and over, a circle made of eyes. But it's not just outsiders anymore. The people who once swore they'd forget are remembering things they shouldn't. Henry's old teacher began screaming during a lesson, claiming she saw him standing in the window. The shopkeeper near the gas station quit after finding her own handwriting in a note she didn't write. Don't look behind you. And Luke, Henry's brother, he's not the same. The search has changed him. His eyes don't rest. He talks less, sleeps less, and keeps a box under his bed filled with things he won't show anyone. Burned papers, broken watches, and a locket with dried blood inside. He says it's Henry's, but no one can prove that. One night, Evelyn followed Luke into the woods. They didn't know they were being watched. A camera caught them grainy footage, time stomp blinking, their flashlights cutting through the mist. Then something moved behind them, a blur of shape and sound. They both turned at once, and the video cut out. The next morning, the camera was found hanging from a tree branch. The footage was corrupted, except for one line of audio that played on loop. He's closer than you think. Now the town is cracking under its own silence. People are leaving. The church bells ring without anyone pulling the rope. Dogs bark at empty corners. And that same symbol, the circle of eyes, is appearing everywhere. Carved into trees, painted on walls, even scratched into glass. Evelyn believes it's a warning. Mason thinks it's a mark, something left by whoever took Henry. But Luke says it's a message from Henry himself. A map written in fear and blood. As the nights grow longer, their paths begin to twist together. Evelyn searching for guilt, Mason for redemption, Luke for truth. Three people bound by one missing man. But the closer they get, the more the town pushes back. Lights flicker when they speak his name. Radios cut out mid-sentence. And in the reflection of every window, something stands just out of sight. Coldwell isn't just hiding secrets anymore. It's protecting them. Something in this place doesn't want Henry found. Something that remembers him, maybe even loves him, in a way no one should. And yet, deep down, they all feel it, that strange pull, that quiet voice that says keep digging. Because beneath every lie, there's a truth that's been bleeding too long. And before this season ends, every drop of that blood will rise. Sometimes, love doesn't die. It just changes shape, becomes something quieter, darker, heavier. The kind of love that keeps you awake at 3 a.m., whispering a name into an empty room. That's what Henry left behind. Not just a mystery, but a wound that never healed. His mother still sets the table for 4. She cooks enough for him, waits by the window until the food turns cold, and tells herself it's just a habit. But every night before she blows out the candle, she whispers, "Come home." Some nights, the flame flickers twice. As if something hurt her. Luke walks the same path through the woods, wearing Henry's old jacket. The sleeves are torn, the fabric stiff with age, but it's the only thing that still smells like him. He doesn't cry anymore. The tears dried months ago, but his voice trembles when he speaks to the darkness. He says he can still hear his brother's laugh in the wind, still see his shadow when the moon hits just right. He says the forest listens. He says it answers. Evelyn has begun to dream of things she's never seen: a boy standing by the river, a voice calling her name, though they've never met. She writes everything down, page after page, afraid that if she stops, she'll forget the sound. Mason told her it's guilt, that she's letting her imagination twist her memories. But Evelyn knows guilt doesn't breathe on your neck while you sleep. The town itself feels alive now. The air carries stories that no one told. Doors creak open on their own, as if inviting someone back. The church bell rings at midnight, one soft chime that echoes too long. People wake in their beds with the same dream. A candle burning beside the river, and someone whispering, "Find me." Henry's presence is everywhere and nowhere at once. His laughter buried in static. His name etched faintly into fogged glass. Every piece of him scattered like dust across Coldwell, waiting for someone to gather it again. But the deeper they reach for him, the more the darkness reaches back. Luke once said grief is like drowning. The harder you fight it, the deeper it pulls you. He stopped fighting weeks ago. Now he just floats through the town, eyes hollow, chasing echoes. He found an old cassette in the attic, labeled for you. He thought it was a recording of Henry's voice, maybe something left behind. But when he played it, there was only silence. Until the very end. A soft breath, then a whisper. Don't follow me. He smashed the player. But the whisper stayed in his head. He hears it every night now, sometimes behind him, sometimes inside him. Evelyn tried to pray it away. Mason tried to drink it away. Neither worked. Because this isn't just memory. It's something else. Something that remembers them too. The love they had for Henry has turned into something else. A haunting. A call they can't ignore. Even when they try to move on, it drags them back to the same places, the same questions. Every clue feels like a heartbeat, every discovery like a confession. The truth isn't buried in the ground, it's alive, waiting for them to bleed it out. And yet, beneath all the fear, there's still hope. A fragile, foolish hope that maybe, just maybe, Henry isn't gone. Maybe he's trapped somewhere between here and whatever comes after. Maybe love is the only thing keeping him from fading completely. But hope can be dangerous in a place like Coldwell. Hope makes you open doors you shouldn't. Hope makes you follow voices that sound familiar. Hope makes you step closer to the edge. Until you realize the voice calling your name doesn't sound like Henry anymore. And when that moment comes, when they finally face what's waiting in the dark, they'll understand what Henry meant when he said, "Blood remembers." Because family isn't just the people who love you, it's the people who follow you into the dark. Even when they shouldn't. The candle still burns. The river still whispers. And somewhere out there, Henry is waiting not to be found, but to be understood.